Bonjour everyone and welcome back to the Waves of Your Soul. I am your humble French tarot reader slash deck goblin marine, and today we're going to be doing a little mass market haul. I've got a mass market order that I put in that arrived in the last couple of weeks. Some decks I've been using, some of them I am yet to discover, but I just wanted to share them with you because I love me some good mass market finds. There's something super fun about finding good affordable decks that are easy to find, that are more affordable, and I just wanted to share them with you. It's been harder for me to get a hold of English mass market decks ever since Book Depository closed down last year, but I discovered that I could order through Rare Waves, which is actually where I got most of these decks from. So if you are living not somewhere that has Amazon like me, maybe check out Rare Waves. I'll make sure to leave the website down below. That's where I got most of these decks. I'm not sponsored or anything. I'm just sharing for my fellow deck lovers out there who are also like me struggling to get their hands on mass market decks, especially if like me where you live doesn't have Amazon or anything like that. All of these decks today are mass market bar one. There's one indie, but even though it's indie, it was almost like mass market prices, so I still included it. As per usual, all the names of the decks are gonna be in the description box below. I always put the names, so if you're ever thinking what was the name of that deck, click on the description box below, it's all there. I will make sure to put my playlist for all of my other deck hauls. I'll make sure to include my other social media links and other videos of mine you may want to check out. All of these decks then later appear either in monthly favorites. After I've worked with them for a while, I share with you again my more in-depth thought in monthly favorites. I always include them in pick a card reading. I offer these a lot on my channel, so if you want to see how these decks reads, make sure to watch my readings as well, as you get to see them used. Without further ado, let's get into this fun mass market haul. I'm excited, let's do it. If you have watched my channel before, you know I am a chaotic deck goblin, meaning my tastes vary from super cute to super spooky to fantasy to classic stuff. I like it all, which makes my wallet very sad, but my deck lover side very happy. So that also I think is gonna be represented in today's haul. There's definitely a bit of everything. Chaotic deck goblin mode activated as always. And I'm super excited because, like I said, most of these are mass market, meaning they should be more affordable, easy to find, and all of that good stuff. So let's start with one I've actually been putting to use quite a bit already in the month of July. It's an oracle deck called Goddesses, Gods and Guardians. This is by Sophie Bashford and Hilary Wilson, and it is by Hay House. This one I got on Rare Waves, like most of these. I think 90% of these I got on Rare Waves, which was great. I'm so happy I found somewhere that delivers to me for not so much actually, and that has English mass market decks, because like I said, ever since Book Depository closed down, it's been a struggle. So I'm super happy to be able to get my hands on mass market decks again in English. I get all of my French mass market decks in my local bookshop, because like I said, we don't have Amazon in Reunion, but Rare Waves have saved the day. So this is a deck I was always super curious about. I decided to finally pick it up when I did this mass market order. As the name suggests, Goddesses, Gods and Guardians, it's a deck representing different deities. What attracted me to this deck though, because I have quite a few different deity decks, like mythology inspired decks and stuff, is that there's a good mix between more masculine presenting figures and feminine presenting figures, so I really enjoy that. Made me buy this deck really. So here are the backs, which are cute. I need to edge this in orange really, it's begging for it. And it kind of matches my nails too, we're here for that. So on each of the cards, as you're gonna see, we have a beautiful image. I love this art style. We have the name of the god, goddess, or guardian, and we have a key phrases. So you've already seen me use this in pick a card for wrapping up the reading and stuff. I have personally used it in a lot also backstage, if I can say that, for me, for friends. Personally, I love pulling a card right now, one per week. This is like the energy accompanying me this week. It reads beautifully. I really appreciate the fact that I can just go from just one keyword, or I can read the guidebook as well, which is great. I'll give you a quick look at it. Love the diversity here in body sizes, in skin colors, and again we have different deities represented, and not just female presenting, which I have a lot of goddess decks. I don't have very many gods and goddesses decks. So the fact that this one actually represented a lot of different deities from all over the world, different energies, I thought it was great. And look at this Hecate card. I mean, come on, this artwork is gorgeous. I never see anyone talk about this deck, really, so I don't know what's going on. Maybe it's not super well known. There's so many decks coming out all the time, it's like we're getting oversaturated by them, so I completely understand that decks can fall off the radar a little bit, but this one is great. I have really been enjoying it. Like I said, I've been pulling once a week, the energies accompanying me. I've been pulling for friends, I've been using in my readings for like wrapping up the reading. I can see myself reading for this for anyone because there's just a lot of different beautiful energies here. I think the artwork is gorgeous. I love the key phrases, and you don't just have deities, you also have creatures. Like I think there's a nymph, there's a priestess. We have which are part of the category of what they call like guardians. So it's not just deities. Merlin, for example, which is not a god, more a guardian. So yeah, I've been really enjoying this one. The guidebook, let me give you a quick overview. I've enjoyed using it too. For each of the card, you get the key sentence, then you get a couple messages. You get a little bit of a message here around who this particular deity or guardian is, and I love that we have pronunciation. Thank you, that's amazing, because when they are deities that we're not used to working with, it's nice to know how you pronounce it, so love that. That's a bit about who this person or deity or energy is, and then we go into the oracular message, your guidance, and then you always have additional meanings, which are little bullet points, which are very like condensed, straight to the point, which I found myself often drawing meaning from that. It's nice to have just like little bullet points like this, and then you always have a mantra or invocation, which I really enjoy as well. It's nice to have this to wrap up the reading. So honestly, this is a super versatile little deck. It's great if you want to look at the energies are accompanying you this month or this week, if you want to wrap up the reading. I've used it in my July pick a card. I'm gonna use it again in August for sure. I enjoy it a lot. I don't see it a lot, and yet for me, I can already tell it's gonna be a versatile, useful little deck that I see myself enjoying for a long time to come. The next one I picked up, again, I've already been putting it to good use, I've been reading a ton with this one, is the Prairie Majestic Oracle by Kara Simmons and the artwork by Amy Putney Koenig. So apparently this was originally indie and it was picked up mass market either last year or this year, I'm not too sure, but I really was not aware of this deck until one of my wonderful viewers, Melanie, if you're watching, I'm sending you huge hugs, told me, Marine, you're gonna love this deck, you really need to check it out. And I was like, okay, I've never really paid attention to it before, I've never seen it before. I watched a couple of walkthroughs because anytime you guys tell me, Marine, you will like this, I trust you guys. I mean, I make my own opinion, I watch reviews and stuff, but most of the time I realize you're right, because you watch my videos, you know me pretty well by now. I watched a couple of your reviews and I was like, oh my god, why did I never pick this up? Why did I never even find out that this existed? It's freaking awesome, I need it. So I ordered it as part of this mass market haul. So we have the guidebook here, which I'll share with you in a bit. And like I said, originally this was indie and it was picked up mass market by Hay House. Here are the backs, which I love. Oh my god, look at this gorgeousness. So beautiful. I love this so much. Definitely need to edge this in black, it's begging for it. And so the premise of this deck is that it's a nature-based deck. As the name suggests, Prairie Majesty Oracle, this is going to be a deck that is inspired by animals, plants, elements that are found in the prairie. Actually, the deck says explore your sovereign nature, which is the perfect really representation of this, because this is really an empowering, a supportive deck that I've been finding fantastic for self-exploration, journaling, and for really doing a bit more introspection and personal work. So on each of the cards you're going to see an animal, and actually the deck is divided in different categories, which I forgot already because we know my memory is bad. We have different categories. We have, so here are the 4 categories. You have the do category, the know category, the feel category, and the claim category. And each card is going to represent a flora, fauna, or elemental being that belongs to the prairie. And so each card is going to correspond to one of these 4 categories. And then you have, I forgot to show you, you have 4 extra cards, which are like sun, moon, clouds, and stars. I don't use them personally, but you could obviously, and it's explained how to use them in the guidebook. But let's look at the cards first. So what really blew me away with this deck and what I've been enjoying using it for is that not only do you have the animal or like elemental being or something on the card, you also have a great keyword, and those keywords are super useful because they're very rooted in day-to-day life, like we have work and build, you know, things that are very actionable steps. But my favorite part is actually these questions. With beaver, we have what am I integrating? With the bobcat, how can I go higher? And the keyword is climb. With stink bug, flip, how does the situation look and feel from a different view? I love these. These are fantastic questions that I've actually been loving using either as starting prompt for spreads. So I'd pull a card, for example, am I honoring my knowing? With trust, with the white-tailed deer and the keyword trust. So let's say this is my card, I would pull this one first, and then I would develop with tarot cards, okay, in what way am I honoring my knowing? In what way can I improve my trust? You know, just building a spread around this particular card and using this question as my starting prompt for a spread, which I always love doing with my oracle decks anyway. And I've actually made a whole video about this. I'll link it in the cards. If you want to know how I create spreads and stuff using oracle cards and all of that, make sure to watch that video. I explain my process there. So I love using those questions for spread building. I love using those questions for journaling, pulling 1 card a night, what enchants me, doing a little bit of journaling. Again, you can pull a couple of other tarot cards to expand. And again, those keywords at the bottom are fantastic. So there's so many ways that I have been using this for starting a spread, for journaling, for wrapping up a reading. I've used this in a larger spread. I've used this as 1 card pull. Mostly I've enjoyed using this at night as a self-reflection moment, because between the journaling side and the question and the guidebook, I found that this is a great fit for my nighttime kind of routine, which is always more introspective, whereas this is a moment where I take the time to pause, to write in my journal. If I pull a card in the morning, I literally just want to pull a card, read the message, and off I go. So definitely the goddesses and guardians would be better for me suited for a morning pull, because you literally pull your card. You don't necessarily have to read the guidebook. The message can be on the card. With this one, I think it deserves a little bit more time to explore, because there's so much that you can get into. And again, those keywords, charms, map, liberate, they're very action-based, which I think for wrapping up a reading or for clarifying something is fantastic. So I am obsessed with this. You're definitely going to be seeing it in my July favorites. I'm very grateful it was put on my radar. Again, if you're watching Melanie, I'm sending you a huge hug. Let's have a quick look at the guidebook. It's split in categories, so you do have to, for me, use this like the table of contents to find the cards, because it's, even though it's based on alphabet, it's based on alphabet by category. So you do have to like use this a little bit, as the cards aren't necessarily numbered. But for each of the cards, so let's say Ladybug, you can stop and pause and read, but the way that this is written is very empowering. It's very rooted in both the ecological meaning of this, so how this animal interacts, how it behaves, how is it acting in the prairie, but it's also very rooted in like self-reflection, self-empowerment, and giving you ways to work with this particular energy in a very empowering way. Honestly, this might be one of my favorite oracles I've discovered this year, mass market, and I don't say that lightly. So this is a toot, it's even a shoot, honey. We are here for the Prairie Majesty Oracle. I'm so glad that this was picked up mass market, otherwise I would have never been aware. And I think the artwork is super enchanting, so love it. Moving on, we have quite a few decks. I told you, I found a way to order mass market decks, and I went overboard because that's me, we're used to it. Let's move on. Night Fairies by Paolo Barbieri. This is a deck I've been wanting for ages, ever since it came out. I have and love the Star Dragon Oracle by Paolo Barbieri. And And this is a Los Scarabeo deck. It only has 32 cards, and we know how I feel about that. Normally I don't like smaller decks. I'm a greedy bitch and I love larger decks. I love having lots of options. These Los Scarabeo decks always get me. I'm always like, no, they don't have enough cards, and then I end up biting the bullet and I end up loving them because they always turn out so good. So now I just shut up and accept the fact that, yeah, there's not enough cards, but it still works. So these are the backs, beautiful. And again, another one I really should edge because it's begging for it. If you're familiar with Paolo Barbieri's artwork, you know it's very gorgeous, very beautiful. He's done quite a few decks out there and quite a few oracle decks with Los Scarabeo. The latest one is an Alice in Wonderland one, which I don't have, and there's also a unicorn one, which I don't have. I just have the dragon and the fairies, because that's more my speed. I'm not a unicorn kind of gal, but fairies and dragons, yeah, I'm all about that. Honestly, first off, the artwork, I mean, let's talk about this. This is stunning. I love it. It's enchanting. It's bringing you into this magical world, this magical forest, which I love. But what made me really want the deck wasn't just the artwork, but was actually the quality of the keywords. Love it. The fact that a lot of the keywords are giving you so much that you don't actually necessarily need to go into the guidebook. Love that, because when I'm doing readings, especially pick a cards and stuff, I don't necessarily want to refer to the guidebook, so I love the fact that a lot of the time what's written here I can intuitively get a lot out of. That being said, the guidebook, even though it's small, as most Los Scarabeo guidebooks are, it is mighty, and I freaking love the Star Dragon guidebook. I always get great readings out of that, and this one has been no exception. Again, I've been using it in July, so you'll be seeing this in my monthly favorites, but I'm super impressed with the way that the guidebook reads. You will have an invocation, you have a meditation, and you have an affirmation. And the last category is along your fairy flight, and actually it explains in the intro what all these categories are. So the invocation is the introduction to your night fairy, the meditation is a short exercise often inspired by the night fairy's animal totem, because on each of the cards you see the fairies are often accompanied by an animal. The affirmation is fairly self-explanatory. And finally, we have along your fairy flights, that's the advice for the journey, action, activities, and ideas for working with your night fairies. Honestly, this little guidebook is small but mighty. It's another one that has lots of different languages, but don't sleep on it if you have the deck. And much like the dragon one, you have two categories in this deck. You have these cards, which are a little bit more gray / sepia tone. There's 5 or 6 of them, and each are a kind of fae. So we have the fae of friendship. I think we passed a few of them already. We had the fae of logic, the fae of wonder. So these are almost like a little major arcana. They call the phase of feelings deck, and they can supplement your reading. So they are like almost archetypes that can add insight to your reading. You can either keep them separate or mix them in. I like to mix them in. And then you have your main deck, and your main deck is consisted of these fairies, and for these ones you always have an animal. Honestly, look at this artwork. I mean, I can't. Look at this snail, it's so cute. I can't. And I love that for the snail the keyword is progress. Yes, slow and steady wins the race. So this is another one I've been really enjoying, that you will hear more of my thoughts on in my future monthly fave. Let's move on to a really interesting, unique deck. I've not really seen very many decks that use this kind of idea, apart from one of my favorite decks ever, which is the Spreadcrafter machine. I love the Spreadcrafter Oracle. It's an indie deck that allows you to create spreads. This is a similar vibe, except it's mass market. I saw this on Instagram by the creator of this, who I follow, because I think she's written some books before and stuff like that, so I was following her on Instagram. And when I saw her Instagram post about this, I was like, okay, I need to get this, because this is going to be super useful for me as a tarot reader. It's the Tarot Spreads Year. Creator is Chelsea Pippin Mizzi. I can't remember what she goes under on Instagram. I'll make sure to leave her Instagram handle down below, because I don't remember, but I know that there was a Tarot Spread Year book that was a book of spreads and stuff that you could follow the year, and they've turned that into a deck. And I love books, but I prefer decks, let's be real. This is so much better for me. And found this on Rare Waves. Super excited about this because this is a spread deck, and I have one spread deck, like I said. It is the Spread Crafter Oracle by Kimberly Chan. Freaking love that deck. It's in my top 10 favorite decks ever, but I was excited to try a new one. So it comes with a super small leaflet. Don't really need it, honestly, because everything is on the card, as every card is a spread. There's 4 categories. So you have care, you have shadow, you have change, and you have growth. And in total you have 52 cards, meaning that there's technically one for each of the weeks of the year. And every single spread is, on the front you have the image, and on the back you have the question. And I thought, as someone who loves changing spreads, changing things up, and obviously I also love doing readings for you guys, I thought this would be perfect, not just for my use, but for like using for everyone as well. So there's 52 cards, so technically you could pull one for each week of the year and have a spread per week, which I think is super fun. And with the 4 categories, it's something I didn't realize until I bought the deck. There's a consistent kind of theme for each category. For each category you will have the same theme on each. So you will always have an intentions, you'll always have a reflection, you'll always have a romance, a friendship, a choice, a conflict, resource, career, mind, spirit, play, family, and confidence. You have those for each of the different categories. So you can have confidence for care, confidence for change, confidence for shadow, confidence for growth. And so that's the way that the deck is set up. As you can see, I've not fully mixed it in yet. I've kind of mixed in the care and pulled from that, and I've done the same for each one, but I've not fully mixed all together because I'm still getting to know this one. However, I think this is going to be great. I was always curious about the book from this creator, but when I found out that they had the deck, I thought, yeah, I mean, come on. I can't resist that. We know I'm a deck lover, so I'm gonna choose a deck over a book. That's just more practical to me. And yeah, so that's the tarot spread here. I'm excited to getting more into it, using it in my pick a card readings. I'm still getting to know this one compared to the other 3 I've shown you. So this one is still one I need to like get to know better. Let's move on to the last 2 part of my mass market order, and then I'll have one indie, and then I have one that was sent for review. That's still a new deck. So this is a whole of new decks of recent weeks, so I'm including it. Okay, so the last 2 as part of my mass market whole order was the Ehrenberg Tarot by Steve Ehrenberg. I've been lusting after this deck since it came out, and again, it was no way for me to get it where I live until I discovered that Rare Waves had it, and Rare Waves delivery to Reunion is like 8 euros. US Games, I think it was like 12 euros I paid for it. Very, very affordable, so it was a no-brainer. This is one I can see myself using a lot. I know this one is like super well known, you've seen it a lot of people have it already. I'm excited to finally get my hands on it. Here are the backs. The idea with the Ehrenberg Tarot is that it was created by Steve Ehrenberg, it's a US Games, and it's a re-edition of the RWS but zoomed in. So each of the cards represents a zoomed in, redrawn obviously in the style of this artist, aspect of that card. And I think this kind of different aspect, this different perspective is super interesting. So that's why I wanted this one, because even though it's an RWS and we could argue, yeah, another RWS, how many do you need? Girl, all of them. Don't come for me, okay? This is different because of the unique perspective. It zooms in on a specific detail, and I thought it was super interesting how for a zoomed in deck, the key core elements of each card are still there. The fact that the hangman are feet, genius, I love that. You still get the idea of being hanged here, of needing to like relax and release and surrender, and yet that knot doesn't look super tight. Like you could easily untie that if you wanted to. So I think it's great interpretation. Even the minors are also zoomed in, we'll get into it, and again it's giving you that core element. You have enough in the minors as well to understand like the key meanings. Would this be the easiest for a beginner? I mean, why not? If you enjoy this deck, I think the key things here are there. I still personally would argue that having a deck where you see the full traditional RWS imagery, if you like working with this system obviously, will give you more. But if you are kind of sick of traditional RWS but you still enjoy the classic look, I think this is a fun way to do something a bit different while still keeping to tradition. The Nine of Cups, we have the Wish with a genie, and I thought this would be a great workhorse, this one. I mean, I can see myself using this for anything really. Just one of those RWS ones that is still very comfort zone for me. I mean, I've told you many times, RWS are like my period pants, right? They're always comfortable, you can go to them anytime. They're like comfort blankets. This is that, but a bit different. And even the Three of Swords, we still have the tear, we have the heart here. The key elements are there. You've seen it a lot, I'm sure. A lot of people have been sharing it on their channel. I think it's a popular deck for 2024 for US games, and I can understand why, because it's really beautiful and an interesting perspective. Last deck as part of my mass market order, and then we have one I was sent for a review and one indie. So this is the Russian Tarot of St. Petersburg. This is a US games deck by Yuri Shakov. This is a deck that I've been wanting for years, literally years, but it was always, you know, one of those mass market decks you're like, yeah, I'll pick it up later, I'll pick it up later. And then there was rumors that this was going out of print, so I kind of like stroll the internet to try and find where I could get this. There are still some available in different websites. It took like 2 months to get to me, so I don't know if this is still available on Amazon or what the story is. I think on some Amazon it seems to be. So I would say if you like this, potentially getting it sooner rather than later would be a good idea. I haven't got any official comment that it's going out of print, but it was rumors going around the windmill, and it's true that it's getting harder to find, so I'm just putting it out there. One of the most beautiful mass market deck I own, to be honest. Look at this. The particularity of this deck and why it is so special in my opinion is that everything was drawn to size, meaning that the person who painted this, Yuri Shakov, painted this literally the size of this. So he had, I don't know, canvas or paper the size of these tarot cards, and he painted each one to that exact size with tiny paint brushes, everything exactly to size that this is appearing in those cards. Can you imagine the amount of work, the amount of effort? This is incredible, and if it's going out of print, I am bereft, because it's a gorgeous piece of tarot history, it's a gorgeous piece of artistry, it celebrates a very particular Russian art style. So this art style is called the Russian miniature painting. It was achieved by very few artists, one of them Yuri Shakov. Get a little bit about his life. The painting were done to exact size. The detailed work required a magnifying glass and an arm brace to steady the hand, and at times a paintbrush with one single hair. Honey, can you believe the artistry? I can't. Many of the scenes are reminiscent of icons by 18th and 19th century painters of Palek. The Russian Tarot of St. Petersburg was Yuri Shakov's final commission work. He died on March 10th, 1989, and this deck was dedicated by him to his friend Leonadja. This is beautiful. Honestly, it's a beautiful piece of art history. It's a beautiful piece of tarot history. To think the amount of work that would be required to paint this to exact size, I'm still not over this. Look at the amount of details. Look at that. I have to like really zoom you in so you can see how much detail is in even the characters. Can you imagine the tiny brush that would be required to paint that? It's just so much to get into this. So yeah, this is absolutely stunning. It's incredible, honestly, the level of artistry. So this is one I always wanted, and when I heard that it might be going out of print, I was like, hell no, not today, Satan, I need to get this before it's too late. So I don't know if it's actually out of print, if it's just harder to find. I think there's still some online if you look, so have a look. I really hope they're gonna continue printing it, because it is stunning. I mean, we all deserve this beauty in the world. Look at that. And obviously the egg shape reminds us of Fabergé eggs. There's just so much to get into. it's a unique art style, and I can understand how a lot of people potentially wouldn't vibe with the fact that this is so small and miniature, but for me it's so unique and beautiful that I can only bow down to the beauty of it. And yeah, I'm excited to have it. I'm excited to read with it. I'm just very humbled and grateful that we get to read with this deck from this wonderful artist. What a chance, what a beauty. So again, one I never really see anyone talk about, which is a shame. Definitely a hugely underrated mass market deck in my opinion. Okay, let's move on to the deck I was sent for review, another mass market one. It's The Oracle of the Celestial Deities by Leta Wang, illustrated by Nisiro JP. This is a deck by Beyond Worlds, and last time I checked it retailed around $19 or something. So this is a astrology / mythology inspired oracle deck. Leta already has done the Oracle of the Mythic Heroes, which I've done a review of. I'll leave it in the cards. I love that deck, it's brilliant. I've actually done a review of this one as well, which I'll also leave in the cards. I'm pretty sure by the time that this haul is coming out, I've published the review, because this is a deck I've been using for over a month now and behind the scenes, so I won't go too much into it. If you want to see more about it, definitely check out the review. I'll just quickly share you some cards. This is a really interesting take on astrology and mythology, and whilst there's not a lot of cards, the guidebook is truly where the magic is at. So I invite you to watch the review if you haven't yet, because I read to you part of the guidebook, and for me this is where the magic is at with this deck. It's Leta's writing, which is really insightful, helpful, and if like me you are a mythology lover, you're gonna enjoy this. And obviously if you are also enjoying learning about astrology or working with astrology as part of your readings, this is great. I am not an astrology pro, but I found myself learning a lot from this deck. That being said, my favorite aspect of it is definitely the mythological side, because that's just my language, right? I'm fluent in mythology, I'm not fluent in astrology. So I enjoy the bridge of the both. I love those key phrases here, especially on every single one you have the wish to. I found this little thing here super powerful to again start creating spreads around it, start like drawing more information from. And the way I've used this is almost like this as a major arcana, and then Leta's other deck, the Oracle of Mythic Heroes, I use as almost minor arcana. So I liked working with them combined, but again, I've done an in-depth review about this, so I invite you to watch it. The guidebook for this one is so good. For each of the cards you have quite a lot as well. You have the text about who the deity is, then you have the teaching, and then you have it split for career reading and love reading. And I'll make sure to leave the review in the cards and in the description box, so you can check that out if you haven't seen it yet. Let's wrap up this haul, you guys. I'm trying to keep this a little bit shorter, which I've probably failed as per usual. We know I like to blab. The last newest deck I wanted to share with you, last newest deck that came to my collection, is an indie deck. It's by Vermilion Collection. I got it on their Etsy shop. They have free shipping. You know I love to shop from there if you watch my other hauls. I love it mostly because they have 1, amazing decks, 2, free shipping, and 3, it's super fast. I get my decks in like 3 weeks, which for me is express because I live on a little island in the middle of Indian Ocean, so 3 weeks shipping is super quick for me. This is the Broken Mirror 5th edition, and this is, I forgot which one I got because there's 2. I think there's Obsidian and Emerald. I think this is the Emerald because the sides are green, so that would make sense. But I'm not 100% sure, so I'll check my invoice and I'll make sure to leave the right reference in the description box, because you can get this deck lots of different editions, lots of different like packaging. They often do that with Vermilion Collection decks. They have like one deck, but they do it in a top box, in a rigid box, in one color, in another color. So it can be a bit confusing. So I'll make sure to leave in the description box the correct edition that I got. This is a deck that kind of caught my eye on Etsy. I have quite a few decks from Vermilion Collection. I have their Monsoon Tarot, which is right here. Let me show it to you. This one, I love it. I have the other deck by the same creators, Exile Tarot. I love it. So I have quite a few others. I've actually ordered a couple of others from them that have not yet arrived, but one of their decks was actually in my top decks of last year. I really enjoy what they do. It's also oftentimes affordable. I think this one I paid 25 euros for. There was a sale, so honestly this is why I was like, okay, even though this is a mass market haul, 25 euro for a tarot deck is almost mass market prices, so I was like, I'm gonna include it. Plus it's also a new deck, so I wanted to share it with you. And this is what I've been using in July and really enjoying as well, so again, I'm sure you'll see it in my July faves. First off, those sides, can we talk about it? Come on, so cool. This like green with hollow, I love it. The backs are gorgeous, and yeah, this is one I had seen on Etsy that I just thought, you know what, I want it, so I got it. As simple as that. Sometimes I'm a simple girl with simple means who just sees a cute deck and gets it. That's it. Sometimes there's a deep reason of like, yeah, I'm gonna work with that and I'm gonna do a very deep dive on this particular aspect and I'm gonna learn that. And sometimes it's just, it's cute, it looks nice, I want it. I thought it was cool. It's called Broken Mirror because it's inspired by stained glass windows from like churches and stuff. This particular art style of stained glass. This is what inspired this particular artist and this particular artwork, and this is why this is called a Broken Mirror. And you can really see this influence in the deck, and I thought it looked really cool. I don't have a deck with this particular style, and even though, yeah, it's an RWS inspired, if you know the RWS, you'll have no problem reading this. There's actually a couple of added things here that will give you more to read from. Sometimes it's things in the background, some little details. It's oftentimes like the setting that this takes in. So for example, the hangman is actually hanged over a city or a citadel of some sort. So I've discovered that a lot of the tiny little details here give you a lot. So we have the main Hierophant, but in front of the Hierophant, if you pay attention, he's standing over, so large, looming over the church, and his acolytes are super small. So there's a lot you can get there. Again, the emperor is not standing as we normally see him. He's standing looking at his castle. Almost we see like birds here. It could seem insignificant, but I have found using this deck all months, and I've actually done a couple of readings on Instagram with this and stuff, that this actually gives you quite a lot. I love this world card because you have on each of the corners the astrological sign, almost reversed. It's really cool. Pleasantly surprised by this. I bought it because I thought it looked pretty. What I didn't notice until I had it in my hands is that there's a lot of added details that give you a lot to work with, and I love that. I love when a deck has little Easter eggs and hidden things. You know, it's like this 10 of Pentacles. It's not just your stereotypical 10 of Pentacles. They're actually moving towards something. So depending what card you have here, your 10 of Pentacles is moving towards, right? It's like small things like that that really give your readings additional layers that make it unique. And so I've really enjoyed this one. This deck exists in different color scheme, like I was saying. You can get it with different colors. So I got the one that was definitely more in those blue tones because I found that it was easier to read, but I did hesitate for a while, and there's definitely reviews online of people who compare both coloring, edition and stuff, so you can decide the one that speaks to you the most. I like the blues in this, which is why I got this one. This particular death card, come on, so good. You have death looming over, you have someone here that is trying to push death away, love that, and here it's almost like death is inviting you to enter her realm. We have like graveyard here, you're invited to enter the realm, and we have the rose here from death, but what looks like grim actually opens up to blue skies and something a lot more inviting than this. So it's almost giving you this idea of endings and new beginnings. I love it. There's so much you can get into it. That's what I mean. This deck really surprised me. You can get a lot more than I thought from it, from all the different details. I'll definitely share more of it in my future favorites, but I wanted to mention it with you guys. It's a very pleasant surprise. I didn't think I would bond with it so well. Like I said, I got it because I thought it was pretty, but this is a great reader. That's it for today, you guys. These were all of my new decks, majority of mass market ones. I hope you've enjoyed seeing that. Some of them I've already put to good use, and I gave you mini reviews here, and of course you'll see them in future monthly favorites and pick a card. Some of them I still need to get to know. Overall, I'm very excited and happy. There's no bad ones honestly here. here, all good. All good decks I would purchase again for sure. If you made it this far, I want to say a huge thank you for being here. I appreciate you so much. Definitely let me know in the comments the decks you've been enjoying lately, whether they're new or old. If you have any recommendation of mass market decks I should check out, make sure to leave them below. I always like to hear your recommendations. I've often discovered some cool decks thanks to you guys, so thank you so much for all of you who give me recommendations, tell me to check this stuff out. Until my next video, I'm sending you so much good vibes and keep navigating the waves of your soul. Bye!